A very warm welcome and thank you so much for joining us to yet another episode of the Lively Chats with me, Terminator Lively, a show where we get to sit down with ordinary South Africans from different aspects of life and they get to share their life stories, be it overcoming some addiction that you may have had, or be it grieving, or be it but today we are joined by none other, a communications practitioner. And what are those life obstacles that he had to overcome in order to shape his life? Hope we get to learn from him. It gives me such a pleasure to be joined by a friend of mine from a long time ago. As we said, that this is a show where we talk to people like you, ordinary South Africans. They share their stories and you can also get to relate and hopefully take something from it. And help me welcome Lenny Mangoenyane. How are you?
I'm good, friend. I'm good, thank you so much.
I haven't seen you in years, or how long has it been?
I think it's been just over since Jan last year. I remember specifically I last saw you on the 20th of Jan last year.
Last year, God. Corona and all these kind of things do take away people that we love, not literally, but we have not seen people. Tell us a little bit about you growing up. You do have a story that I feel like a lot of people would benefit just looking at you now, like the person that you've become, but it didn't start there. Where did you grow up? How was your childhood?
Oh my goodness, it didn't start there, and it's still not there, you know, where we wanted to be.
Never be there. Definitely can never be there.
But I mean, listen, I was born in Mabopane, Pretoria, north of Pretoria, and grew up a little bit in Mabopane, and I went to live with my mother at the age of 6 in Katlehong, where I started.
Katlehong is in Joburg, right?
Yes, it's in the east rand of Joburg. So I started there, you know, Katlehong, went to school in Dinwiddie, and yeah, I just, you know, I was an only child for 12 years. My brother came along when I was 12 years old. So for 12 years of my life, you know, I was really able to explore this life thing with just my mom.
Get all the love.
You know, being a child of the only child of a single mother can really have its perks as well sometimes, because all the affection and attention is on you. My brother came along. I mean, I was more than happy to share that with him as well. And yeah, ever since schooling happened and found myself changing schools when I was 14 years old, when we, at the end of grade 9, so at the end of grade 8, I went to Pretoria with my mother. We moved back to Pretoria because she had to move for work. And yeah, then we had to obviously change schools, but this was obviously, it happened in not the easiest of ways, because for grade 8, we moved when I was in May, and then I had to travel from Soshanguve to Germiston every single day for school from May until the end of the year. So that was quite a treacherous thing, and I'm sure we'll talk about it some point later.
How would you say that impacted your life, or rather shaped your life, having to change from one environment? Because I know that it can have something that it does to little children, like changing environment, changing schools. You mentioned something that it was not one of the easiest things to do for you. How did that impact your life?
I think for me the biggest thing that actually came out of that was, for the first time, I grew a certain independence, you know, because I mean, like I say, traveling from Soshanguve to Germiston every day for school, I had to wake up at 3 o'clock in the morning, you know, and waking up at 3 o'clock, I had to leave the house at 3:45 because I was catching the bus, the Patco bus, to the train station. And niggas fara training in the morning, yeah, 18 minutes past 4 for Soshanguve station every day. I was like afraid, then then you missed what you're supposed to connect with Pretoria, and then it's just a whole, it's a whole domino effect from there. So yeah, I had to really learn at that young age of 14 years old to travel, to be independent, to literally wake up at 3 o'clock, be on the train, and funny enough, I was still late for school every morning.
I can imagine. Like, if I were to share my stories of the train, going to auditions and all those kind of things, get there late, sweating and everything, they would put makeup and you'd still be sweating moment about that. Like, I cannot imagine like a primary school kid going through all of that.
Absolutely.
But he also mentioned something about changing schools, and that was not all. Like, that was not the last time you changed schools. When I first met you, you were on your journey to be an auditor, and then you disappeared. What happened there?
Oh my goodness, now that is a huge part of my story. There's no way you can talk to me about Thabo, Lenny Mangoenyane, and not mention that transition. Just a step back to the actual initial schooling. I always say to people, I went to Dinwiddie Primary School, and then I say I went to Lotus Garden Secondary School. Just to sort of show, like, honestly, my high school was not the safest experience for me, not the most pleasant experience for me. It was always so tough, because here I am with this Model C accent,
I was about to ask, why is this? Why was it not so most pleasant experience?
And
with this English?
Well, I remember I learned this English in primary school. So when we changed to high school, went to a Gusty school, and obviously that's where
education yeah.
Exactly. So the bullying came, the name calling came, all that jazz came, and I really felt, the only thing that I really had going for me was my academics. One thing that I could use as a weapon or a shield against all this outside forces.
Exactly. Exactly.
So I started school, finished my high school, really achieved well in high school, in matric and stuff. And I then said I want to go into auditing or accounting, So I applied for internal auditing as a second choice, accounting as a first choice, and funny enough, tax is the only place I applied, and I got accepted not for my first choice, accounting, but for my second choice, internal auditing. And the main reason for that was because I was good in accounting, in high school, so I thought this is the path for me. I didn't think of any other possibility. So I went to do auditing. First year started well, second year started, then things started taking a turn for, a slow dive. And I think the big thing for me was I started becoming interested in everything except my schoolwork. Because the thing you will know, I do everything, I'm everywhere. So I was in the res activities, at my home forever, the Republic of
I was just about to say that no one would have imagined, because you were literally everywhere, and each and every portfolio that we were part of, or everything that we were part of, like, required certain level of academic performance.
Absolutely. So being a res person, a leader in my res, you need certain academic credentials to make it. I joined the choir, UP Choral, where I met you, 2010.
Exposing me.
An entire decade. So went to UP Choral, and at the same time, I also got accepted into the leadership of the student body, the internal auditing student body. So so I had the choir, and then in the choir I also got accepted to be an exco member. So I was given the marketing portfolio, and in my internal auditing place I was given the PR and clothing portfolio. And at Raise, I was given the finance and
PR and clothing, Lenny clothing. Okay.
I know. Listen, I'm not a clothing person at all. I'm not a fashion person at all.
Good, by the way.
Thank you so much. Listen, I struggled to get this for you. But clothing for me was such a simple thing because all it was t-shirts. For a student body, all it meant was I had to be the one organizing the t-shirts when we had events, and to just dress the exco members appropriately, etc. So that's essentially how my journey as an internal auditing student was. And I remember I was like, I put all my effort in all of these other things, besides the academics. I remember particularly one night where after I was elected, I was 6 months into my election at Reyes. I was finance, like I said, and I had promised the house. The constitution of the race said that the finance minister, well, is actually the treasurer, but my race likes to be extra. So they were like, the minister of finance has to present the financial results every year, a week before the General Assembly. So for me, the General Assembly was on Friday and it's Sunday, and I'm like, flip, I promised the house that I'm going to do this and I'm going to do it. And I worked the entire Sunday night to get the finances in order. Literally, I did the financial statements and put it up to be published on Monday morning. And I mentioned this because I did that in sacrifice of my accounting test that was happening that very same Monday evening. You know, tax has evening test at 5:30. So I was writing on Monday 5:30, and instead of studying the night before, I literally put all my effort into publishing these accounting records of the rates to go up there. And it's so funny because my predecessors, when they put the financial records up, it was always a matter of income, expenses, and then surplus or deficit, you know, literally 3 lines. And then for me, I did it, and it was actually a 5-pager of every single transaction that we had done ever since I started the office. Because I wanted to be transparent, and I wanted to really show up, you know, as we become extra sometimes. But yeah, so realized eventually I got kicked out of our city in 2013 after being there for 5 years. Academic exclusion. And it was a tough time for me. The toughest actually because I don't remember many things. I've totally spoken about this. My memory is quite bad with many things, you know, but I distinctly remember the day that my mother got that letter. I kept it from her. I didn't know my mother, you know, at varsity I paid my own way, you know, with NSFAS and all this. My mother
waitering jobs.
I hustled, you know. We had jobs. I think I had about 3 jobs, you know, over and above the rest things. Being a student registration assistant, you know, being a waiter, and all these things that you could do while on campus. And the letter came, and my mother never saw my academic statements throughout the time there. I just showed her the first 2 years when things were still
I think my mom died without ever seeing my results. Because I was in varsity for so many years, I'm not going to mention it here, but I was in varsity for so many years, and I think I went through the very same struggles. I mean, I would meet you in waitering jobs, I would meet you in each and every student admin job that there was on campus. Like, I would meet you, we had the same thing. So, and I think a lot of people never really understand that other kids, they have to work for their existence in Hatfield because it's such a very expensive place to live in. And then they still have to be students. 7:30, you lecture, 5:30 in the evening, you're writing exams, and when do you get the time to sleep?
Absolutely. And so that hustle was real, you know, and for me, sleeping, thankfully, I mean, you know, you're at race, you sleep 2-3 hours, you're fine, you wake up, you're still young, you know, life continues. And I mean, you remember we worked the night shift at Java for some time, you know.
Don't take me back then.
September and I were waiters. At Java coffee shop, and yeah, I remember bringing him on. It was just so fun.
Most difficult times, and the waiters hating.
Exactly. So you know, so when that letter came, and my mother had last seen my result in my second year. So now it's 5 years later, you know, and I've repeated second, I've repeated third year, etc. And I came home, and the mood simply changed. You know, I knew because I had a call before. My uncle said, "Tabo, okay, and then I told Mama, how you better come home. You know, how fit go, you must come." Fine, I came. And when I came and we walked in, and my mother showed me a letter, the envelope, she just pointed there. I took the envelope. I knew exactly what it was, but I was like, you know, I'm a
surprise short.
I'm a procrastinator, you know, so for me, I always delay bad news, delay good news, anything that has a potential to really make a big impact, you know, I really delay it. So I delayed it, especially if it's bad news. So I opened the letter and I saw, you know, it said academic exclusion. I can't remember the rest of it, but that stood out. And then my mother said, "So I never got a degree."
How are you feeling at that moment, at that time?
It was terrible, you know. For me, I think I had already steeled myself up, you know. I had made myself strong. I internally prepared myself. But for me, the biggest thing was the disappointment. That
who at this point do you feel like you're disappointing yourself, your uncle, your mom,
everyone? Because it's another big part of my story whereby always being this golden child, or in a way, and people have all these expectations.
It happens to the most of us.
People have all these expectations, and particularly for me, academics and varsity, I was the only person in my entire peer group at church, in the Gasi, go Sotanguve, extension 4, where the like in it's red, RDP, actually and then it became an RDP later on, so when I went to varsity, it was a matter of, okay, here's a chance out. And for me, I really put that a lot of that weight on myself from the community and the church and the family.
Just before we move on to how you actually made it out of that, but I want to talk about the responsibility of being the person that everyone is looking at to actually break the poverty cycle in the family. How does that feel?
You know what? At that stage, or at that age, I didn't think about it in that way. I just always knew, okay, you know what? If I don't do well, it's going to be bad. I really need to do well.
There's no change in the family.
Exactly. And I had a whole map. I had the whole roadmap mapped out, Listen, I look at Facebook memories now that, I post these Facebook memories on my WhatsApp every day. And a lot of these just remind me and like show a glimpse into like, I don't recognize this person, because he had this really mapped out journey. Okay, 2010, so 2011 I'm done with my studies, with my undergrad, 2011 is my honors. And I was like, so for me, the minute I sort of started veering off of that path, I really had to realize quickly we have to recalibrate. We have to reconvene and make a way for that clearly is not going to happen. So what is next? You know what I mean? So that burden for me, I didn't allow it to get to me. But what it did eventually play. Those demons in your head. So much so to the point where I actually did not go home for 2 years. Home is in Soshanguve. I was staying in Rez, go Hatfield, and for 2 years I didn't go home because I didn't want to face the questions of graduate, those kind of stuff, so I did not. And funny enough, later on I learned those were never expectations, people never had those questions, people never it was all in my head, I disappointed people in my mind. I disappointed myself more for disappointing them. Only to find out people, they had hopes for me, they had high hopes, but it was not the end all and be all. So for me, it took me a long time, and it was only later on when things started turning around and, I had sort of turned the tide, where I realized, the people's expectations were there, but they were not like cast in stones. It was not going to be a make it or break it situation, and I'm very grateful for that. I'm very grateful, and I think maybe that's why my mother hardly ever interrogated me about my studies. Yes, she'll always ask, how's the school going, whatever and stuff. Mara, you always have to just, it's going okay, even though how to flip my semester mark, it's 35, so I need to literally pull a rabbit out of the hat for me to pass the semester.
If I just qualify for an exam,
exactly.
I'll fight to get out.
Exactly.
Take us now back to Lenny, because I don't want the time to be an issue here. I'm enjoying this. But take us back now to the time where you said, I'm re-narrating my story. Like I'm reclaiming my life.
Oh man, that was so beautiful. That time, 2013 was when the exclusion happened. And I could have appealed. I had appealed for multiple friends at that time at the university. I think I wrote about 4 appeal letters, and all those appeal letters were successful. Appeal letters being that, to get the people back into the university. You go to the council, they approve it. And for myself, I didn't write one. 2013, I was like, no, first of all, I'm owing the university 63,000 Rand.
That's all?
Listen, that's the 2013 cost. I'm not counting NSFAS that paid for the others because I told her procrastinate. So I did not apply in time for NSFAS for 2013, So NSFAS was like, we're not gonna cover you for this year. So now I was owing 64k over and above the NSFAS years. So I was like, okay, I owe the varsity so much money. they're going to use that. I know that they use finances and affordability as a qualifying criteria of whether they put you back or not, because you get an appeal, but then you look, hey, what this person owes, so they can't even afford to be here. Why do we admit them? Let's rather give that to someone else. So I used that in my mind to justify why I didn't appeal. And I thought, I'm going to work for 2014, make the money, so that 2015 I pay, and then...
So there was a time when you actually stopped schooling?
Yeah, 2014, that entire year I was not schooling. I was literally staying, I left Reyes, went to live with my aunt, not back home, but with my aunt in Arcadia. And the thing was, I'm gonna hustle. It's in Arcadia, it's in town, it's really a close place for me to find various places, various opportunities, various chances to make money, so I can, in my mind, make the money back to pay tax, so I can appeal, finish my 4 modules. I literally have 4 modules left for Dickies. Finish my 4 modules and then finish my studies. But that didn't happen. 2014 happened. I was at home helping my aunt here and there with her work. She had a side hustle, colon hydrotherapy and stuff. And I took on the marketing, the communication, the PR element of that, just the two of us, and it was really interesting and stuff. And I didn't think, what is a career? I knew it is a career, but not for me, because I always had my mindset on auditing or corporate, But 2014, I really am grateful for that year, because I didn't get a job until July 29th. 29th of July, I started working as an online English teacher. And it turned out, Jorge, that year, I really took it was a reflective year. I took that year to really get me to figure out what is it that I want, and I was 23 at the time. Retirement age for men in South Africa is typically 65. And I was like, I do not see myself being an auditor for the next 42 years of my life. And that's when I made the decision. I applied, I looked around what speaks to me, what am I interested in. Found UJ, corporate communications. I knew, it just spoke to me, and thankfully UJ had free online applications, so I didn't have to hustle for 200 Rand to apply. I applied for that, they called me. Actually, nothing happened for the whole 2014, no acceptance, no acknowledgement of receipt, nothing. And then one day, first week of January, I get an email with provisional acceptance that you've been provisionally accepted to come and study. I'm like, what is this? I look, and then I remember, oh flip. In May, I applied. So go there, get my degree, get my iPhone. I follow up. Why is it only provisional? I need a final acceptance. They checked, called me later. You've been accepted. Got the emails. Everything started, and my life changed that moment, because I went into a field of strategic communications, a field which I love, a field which really, really spoke to me.
Which you didn't know you loved.
I didn't know I loved. Although I knew that I love people, I love talking, I love, those energies. And strategic communications, the degree really sort of gave me those opportunities. And I think another thing is I paid for my own fees. I worked a 40-hour night shift job. I told you 29 July 2014, I started working as an online English teacher. That was literally 11 hours a night for 4 nights of the week, 44 hours a week, while during the day I was still a student, So I studied, and I literally would knock off at 7 o'clock in the morning from work, run into class for like 9 o'clock class, be in class until 3-ish or so, and then finish to go home for like 2 hours to nap, because I had to get ready after 5 to get ready to go to work and start my shift at 8. That was my life for my entire study until 2016, when another opportunity came. So, and I was really so blessed, because it just went to show, Jorge, first of all, I was driven because, number one, I'm paying my own fees, so you can't mess it up, and I can't afford to owe tax and UJ, what is that, And secondly, it's something that I loved. I love studying communications. It's something that I enjoyed. It was almost it required no effort from my side, so that's why I was able to really do it without, to do well without having to sacrifice work and stuff.
Did the change of environment have any impact now in your academic life, like the results?
I don't know if it was a change in environment. I think for me it's also just growing up, maturity, The whole time, I was 25 now when I started at UJ, and I was not...
It's never too late.
Never too late, guys. So I was 25 at UJ, and I never, for me, it was a matter of this is it. This is the last opportunity, you know. And it was just easy, man. You know, for me it was easy. I loved doing what I was doing, and it required no effort. I was able to just listen in class, do my work, and just also just the fact that I've reclaimed my life, you know. I think that was a big drive to say, besides the finances and stuff, and besides being older, I've reclaimed it, and I'm not going to fail at this a second time. And it just happened, and I had amazing achievements, amazing accomplishments, amazing opportunities with that field of study, and that literally started rolling. It started, the first domino fell in place for the rest of them to lead to where I am right now and what lies ahead, you know. So yeah, I'm incredibly grateful for having the bravery to realize at that point and take that leap to say there's still an opportunity, there's still a chance. And I think putting things into perspective to say, you know, 65, I'm only 23, 24, that really helped me. That really helped me. And I think I'm so grateful that that happened.
Where are we now, like with all this change of studies and reclaiming your life, re-narrating your story? Where are we now?
Well, right now we are in corporate.
Back to corporate. Okay.
Back in corporate, but actually the corporate now is very different to what I had imagined corporate would be at
the suits and the ties and
exactly, you know. So I mean, I know, and no disrespect to auditors and accountants, you know, I know you guys, there are stylish, there are, you know, relaxed and stylish finance people out there, but I just didn't think that was the career, that was the industry that allowed me to be that. So I went into corporate, and I'm in a place where I'm on a graduate program. Mm-hmm. You know, I was very fortunate at the end of my studies to graduate, and I did my honors, and at the end of my honors, you know, I had 3 companies or 3 offers to choose from. You know, 2 of them were really, really big. Yes. They're all just, you know, one was in marketing, one was in corporate affairs, and one was in reputation and research and media liaison, those kind of stuff. And I agonized for weeks on end. What am I going to choose? You know, it was really, really a tough journey to choose. Eventually decided, you know, with a lot of advice from professionals, I went as far as phoning the South African Graduate Employers Association, Sagia, and asking the director, Kathy, this is my situation. I don't know you, but I would like to tell you my story, and I need assistance in making a choice. And because I knew, I left auditing because I did not see myself doing it until retirement. I can't, there's marketing, there's corporate affairs, there's this, and I can't not choose the right one, because again, I'm back to where I started, you know. So I eventually chose corporate affairs, and you know, it was really wonderful. The opportunities really came as a result of all the accolades. It's not lost on me, Snatemba Hore. I was incredibly fortunate. I was in an extremely, extremely fortunate position to be able to have a choice, you know, not even just one, but more than one.
What is that?
Because I mean, you know, I when I graduated my undergrad, while working, first of all, I went on to study abroad, as you know, and over there, I was studying abroad in the USA for 6 months, but I still had 3 jobs on campus. I was away, I was in the cafeteria, I was washing dishes in the cafeteria, and I was academic. I was a receptionist, a student assistant at the Career Development Center, you know. And after that, you know, it just allowed me to travel and stuff. So that opportunity put me ahead.
And show a different face everywhere.
I don't know how to respond to that.
And then Alright, but you mentioned 2 things, or 2 key things that stood out with me. We're gonna be running out of time. You mentioned your uncle, which I know you love so dearly, based on your social media and reclaiming your life. And that was just not all that you did in reclaiming your life. There was a point when you took so much from your uncle, and you're like, this is Lenny Mangoenyane, who just happens to love someone, and this is the person. And there was light.
Oh my word, that's incredible. I happen to have, my mom has a half brother who happens to be gay, and I met him, you know, when I was 19 years old. So yeah, I saw him living his authentic life when I was 19, and we became close. And you know, he did have a slight influence, but I think just living and growing into myself, you know, it came to a point whereby I am who I am, and I'm so grateful to have become the person that I am. And I know that my family might not, or they might support it, but I have to give them the opportunity to know that this is who I am, and they have to choose whether they accept it or not. So for me, I had multiple partners, but I was ready.
Entanglement.
No, multiple entanglements along the way, but there was one that happened, 26th of May, 2017. I met my partner, and a year later, we had our 1 year anniversary. And before him, my longest relationship was, I always say this, it was 3 months and 24 days. I'm that guy, I can't.
So you guys keep up?
I can't.
So you didn't remember your anniversaries.
Yeah. So he was like, when I met him, and we made it a year later. I was like, flip, this is someone that is gonna be around for a very long time, and I really do not see myself with anyone else. I say that now. I know what life happens. But honestly speaking, I'm so incredibly endeared and involved, and I love this person so much that. On the 2nd of June, a week after our 1 year anniversary, I went home and I spoke to my mother, and the conversation came up, and eventually I told her that this is the person that I love, and I showed her the pictures, and I told her it's been a year now. Actually, the words "I'm gay" never came out of my mouth. I never said I'm gay or anything. I just said this is the person I love, showed her the pictures, and my brother had met him at that time, and I know he had spoken to my mom about him. So I asked him, what did he tell you about him? And then she told me, and I was like, okay, well, Hoso. And my mom is a sweetheart, she was like, yeah, I would like to meet him, And then I was so grateful for that response, and it's now a year later. Actually, no, it's now 3. What am I saying? May this year was our 3 year anniversary. For 3 year anniversary, we had ups and downs, we've had bumps along the way. I've really messed up along the way, and I own those messed ups, but I'm really grateful that that he's been able to allow continue working on this journey with him. And you call him Light, and that's what I call him. He just brought an incredible light in my life, and that's the nickname I've had for him ever since day one. And when I say Light, everyone at work, my colleagues know about Light, my friends know about Light, and I think it's something that I'm so proud of, and he's someone I'm so proud of, and I look forward to what the future holds, man.
I don't know, but I wanted to speak to the 19-year-old you and the other one that is most probably viewing this, just to tell them that you can start afresh.
Yeah, I think, the biggest thing is it's you, it's really you, and it's easy to say it's you because we have to take acknowledge that we've got family as well, we've got communities, we've got churches and stuff, but I think if you surround yourself with a strong support system that allows you to be and recognize and learn, I think it makes it a lot easier for you to just accept who you are, whether it be a sexuality, whether it be a career choice, whether it be where you choose to live, you know what I mean? All these things, they really have to reflect you, and you have to be comfortable with that decision. And I would just like to say, 19-year-old me, I did not know life would turn out like this, and it gets easier, it gets better, and you can not only survive but also thrive.
And a message to the mom that you didn't get to experience, the mom that when the son comes home, and sometimes we have this thing about it like real fatty or something, I don't know how you say it, or maybe the mom that you didn't get when you said this is the person that I love. The mom that could have said, out of my house, not under my roof, I'm not going to stay with this person. Any message to those mothers and any words of comfort to those people that never got the acceptance that you might have gotten?
Man, it's never going to be easy. We have to understand what there is generational differences. People are taught, are socialized differently, and their experiences and their thoughts they are valid, they do come from somewhere. However, I would say to that parent, Hore, this is a child that you brought into this world. You went through so much to bring this child into the world, and for you to not accept that person for who they are would be such a tragedy. And give them a chance, walk a journey together, have conversations, and take the chance to really understand what it is that they are experiencing and they can take a chance to understand what you're experiencing, so that you can be able to see if there can be some common ground. Because there's no bond, in my opinion, there's no bond that is stronger than that of a mother and a child. And to think Hori, a person's sexuality can stand in the way of that would be incredibly tragic. And I hope that parents who are still alive, who are still, able to make right where they may have done wrong with their children, can take the chance to fix that, because we are in a world right now where life really is no longer certain.
You've said so much, and with all that being said, Lenny has said so much, and we're so grateful to have him. And Tinagola Tikala, okay, Nagola Mitala, and husband Tina, but Mirror Moments with Z will help you to reflect to what just happened. Let's have a look at what she has to say.
I strongly believe that one of the most difficult things in life is having to live in a box that you did not create for yourself, but because life has expectations on you. My name is Z, and this is Mirror Moments with Z. Having listened to Lenny's story, I find it so painful that sometimes we find ourselves in situations where we didn't create them. We do not create such turmoil in our lives, but because life is life, such things they find us. I think it is very, very important to understand that with life, some things are really difficult. It is difficult to reinvent yourself. It is difficult to tell the people that you love something that they were not expecting, or something that that they might have it difficult to accept and to live with. However, as I always say, it is always true. It is always important for you to stay true to yourself. Stay your own real friend all the time. Make that decision to reinvent yourself. It will be hard. Nobody told us that this life is going to be easy. It is hard, but it is necessary. If you push yourself and you just take life for what it is and staying true to yourself, making those decisions to reinvent yourself, start a new job if you must, start a new life if you must. Sometimes other people, they see us through our own eyes. If you're willing to accept yourself and be true to you for who you are, the people that really love you, they will also love you, regardless of if it is a bit of a disappointment, something that they will have to take time for them to learn, to take time for them to accept. But because you've accepted yourself, and because you are living your own truth, those who love you, they will live your truth with you.
That was Mirror Moments with Z, and I hope you've learned something from it. And thank you so much, Z. Sometimes we do need spiritual guidance in everything that we do. Some words of wisdom do help us grow further or grow wider. However, I grow taller. But thank you so much for joining us, Lenny.
Thanks for having me, friend.
Where can people take this discussion further with you? Where can people that are watching and that take so much inspiration find you?
You know what? I'm not huge on social media, but I love LinkedIn. So, Thabo L. Thabo Lennox Mangoenyane on LinkedIn, Thabo L. Mangoenyane on Facebook, and Instagram is @ThaboLen.
What can we expect from you in the near future?
Oh, listen, if I can have a job at the end of this corona, just gonna soar higher and higher. And I think I don't like to plan too far in advance. I've learned from past experience, but I think the immediate future is really a happy, nurtured, well-rounded, strong man in South Africa who's contributing.
Once again, thank you so much for joining us. We're living in a time where we cannot shake hands or hug each other. It's been an absolute pleasure having you here.
So thank you so much. It's so hard not to hug you right now.
All right. Right now, thank you so much for joining us to this episode, and we hope to see you on the next episode. Remember, you can take the discussion further by joining us on our social media pages, and look at the hashtag right at the bottom of your screen. From me, Temanita Lively, and my team, Caesar Shatraya. Bye. Thank you so much.